My name is Chidinma Grace Salvagain Eze. This evening, I'm going to do a presentation on the human immunity. Let's go forward. The human body has a sophisticated defense system to protect itself against a wide range of pathogens, including bacteria, viruses, fungi, and other microorganisms. These defenses can be broadly categorized into two lines, which is the first line of defense and the second line of defense. First line of defense. First line of defense has physical barriers, and those physical barriers, example of them are skin. The skin, the human skin. The human skin is the first line of defense and acts as a physical barrier preventing pathogens from entering the body. The outermost layer, the epidermis, is tough and impermeable. As you can see, this is a diagram of the human skin. You can see the epidermis here is very thick and prevents pathogens from entering into the body. Now, the mucous membranes. Mucous membranes are the lines, and they have in the respiratory, digestive, and other entry points. They secrete mucus which trap pathogens and cilia and move the mucus away from the vulnerable areas. Another type of barrier, apart from the physical barrier, we have what we call the chemical barriers. The chemical barriers, example is the stomach acid. The stomach acid produces hydrochloric acid, which creates an acidic environment that can destroy many pathogens ingested with food. Enzymes. These enzymes are in form of body fluid, such as saliva and tears, and they have what we call antimicrobial properties that can break down the cell walls of bacteria. Microbiota is a normal flora beneficial microorganism known as a normal flora, which inhabits various body surfaces and competes with potential pathogens for resources. They help maintain a balanced microbial environment in the human body. Here you have a diagram of the first line of defense, where you have saliva antibacterial enzymes, the tears, which is also an antibacterial enzyme, the stomach acid, which has low pH and has harmful microbes, and then you have the mucous lining, which traps dirt and microbes. Second line of defense. Second line of defense, the body has what we call inflammation. So when tissues are damaged or infected, inflammatory responses are triggered. Then the blood vessels dilate, increasing body flow to the affected area. And then this brings immune cells, nutrients, and oxygen to the site of infection. Phagocytes. White blood cells are called phagocytes, including neutrophils and macrophages, and engulf and digest pathogens. Macrophages also release chemical signals to recruit more immune cells. Fever. Under the second line of defense, you have fever pyrogens. During an infection, the body releases pyrogens that reset the body's temperature, leading to a fever. Elevated body temperature can enhance the activity of immune cells and inhibit the growth of certain pathogens. That means when the body is having a high temperature, actually, in effect, the body is trying to protect itself against diseases or infections. So it's the way of the body trying to guard itself against, to increase its immune booster against infection on bacteria. Complement system, complement proteins. These proteins circulate in the blood and when activated enhance the immune response. They can tag pathogens for destruction by phagocytes. Cause Phagocytes cause pathogens to burst and stimulate inflation. Interferons. Interferons are antiviral proteins. These interferons are proteins released by virus infected cells, and these cells they signal neighboring cells to heighten their antiviral defenses, limiting the spread of the virus. Natural killer cells. These are cell-mediated cytotoxicity. These NK cells are a type of lymphocyte that can recognize and destroy virus-infected or abnormal cells. They play a crucial role in the early defense against viral infection and certain cancers. These non-specific defenses work together to provide immediate generalized protection against a variety of pathogens. The first line of defense provides external barriers, while the second line of defense involves internal defenses that kick in when pathogens bring the initial barriers. Complement system. No, sorry. Third line of defense. I want to talk about the third line of defense. Remember, we said we were talking about first and second line of defense, but now going further, we're talking about third line of defense, which is an acquired immunity. Acquired immunity is also known as adaptive or specific immunity in the third line of defense. And it involves the recognition of specific antigens and the development of an immune response tailored to eliminate them. Antigens and antibodies. Antigens are molecules that can elicit an immune response. They are typically proteins on the surface of the pathogen or foreign substances. Then antibodies are proteins produced by the B cells in response to specific antigens. They can neutralize pathogens, tag them for destruction, or activate other components of the immune system. Type of immune cells. There are three types of immune cells I'm talking about this evening, which is the T cells, the B cells, and the memory cells. The T cells are responsible for cell-mediated immunity. They directly attack infected or abnormal cells and help regulate the immune response. While the B cells are involved in humoral immunity, they produce antibodies that circulate in the blood and other bodily fluid, targeting pathogens outside of the cells. Now, the memory cell is both the T cell and the B cell, and they can form memory cells that remember specific antigens. This leads to a quicker and more robust response upon subsequent exposure. Major histocompatibility complex, which is the MHC. We have MHC class 1, major histocompatibility complex class 1, major histocompatibility complex class 2. Then for class 1 is found on the surface of all nucleated cells. This MHC1 presents antigens to cytotoxic T cells, triggering the destruction of infected or abnormal cells, while the MH class 2 are found on antigen presenting cells such as macrophages and the B cells. The MH class 2 presents antigens to help T cells coordinate the immune response. Now, self-recognition, tolerance, and transplant rejection. Self-recognition. The immune system is capable of recognizing the body's own cells and distinguishing them from foreign invaders. This is crucial to prevent an immune response against healthy tissues. Tolerance to own tissues. Tolerance is the immune system's ability to tolerate the body's own cell tissues. Failure of tolerance can lead to autoimmune disorders where the immune system mistakenly attacks its own tissues. Biology of vaccination. Categories of acquired immunity. There are several categories of acquired immunity, which is natural immunity, artificial immunity, passive immunity, and active immunity. Now, we're going to talk about the natural immunity. These natural immunity are acquired through natural exposure to pathogens, leading to an immune response and the development of the memory cells. That's one. Two, artificial immunity. These are induced intentionally through vaccination, involving the introduction of a harmless form of pathogen or its components to stimulate an immune response. Then three, we have passive immunity. This involves the transfer of preformed antibiotics or immune cells from an immune individual to a non-immune individual. This can be natural, for example, maternal antibodies transferred to an infant, or artificial antibodies, which is the injection of immunoglobulins. Then we have the fourth one, which is the active immunity. The active immunity is developed by the person's own immune system after exposure to an antigen, either through infection, which is in the natural active immunity, or vaccination, which is the active artificial active immunity. Immune response to vaccination. Vaccines can weaken, kill, or vaccines contain weakened, killed, or parts of pathogens that mimic the infectious agents. Antigens presenting cells process vaccine antigens and present them to the T cells, initiating an immune response. Then the T cells and the B cells are activated, leading to the production of antibodies and the development of memory cells. Remember, immunology memory are memory B cells and memory T cells where that remembers the pathogen, providing a faster and more robust response upon subsequent exposure. Herd immunity, vaccination programs, and factors affecting vaccine uptake. Now, herd immunity when a sufficiently high proportion of a population is immune to a disease, either through vaccination or previous infection. It reduces the spread of the pathogens, protecting those who are not immune. Vaccination programs are the national and global initiatives that aim to vaccinate specific populations against preventable diseases. Factors affecting vaccine uptake. There are so many factors that affect vaccine uptake, and one of those factors are socioeconomic factors. Socioeconomic factors. The next one is education. When people are not educated, they don't know the value of vaccination, definitely they will reject vaccination and it's going to affect vaccine uptake. The next one is vaccine accessibility. The accessibility of vaccines, the accessibility of the populace of getting the vaccine required to prevent diseases in their community, when it's not accessible to the people, then definitely it's going to affect vaccine uptake. Then vaccine hesitancy, when people are not well informed, when people are not well educated about the importance of vaccine, definitely they will be scared of getting vaccinated because they believe that they are preventing disease, while the vaccine is supposed to help them guard against the disease. So when people are not properly educated, it's going to cause vaccine hesitancy. And then misinformation can also influence vaccine uptake when people are not properly informed. Most times the media, newspapers, social media, they take over the advert, the information, spread the word so that people will understand the reason and why it's important for them to be vaccinated. So when there is a misinformation, it will definitely influence vaccine uptake. Now, the benefits of vaccination, there are so many benefits you get from vaccination. One is disease prevention. Vaccination prevents the occurrence of diseases and reduces the severity of illness. Another one is eradication of diseases. Successful vaccination programs have led to the eradication of near eradication of certain diseases, which smallpox is an example. Then, public health impact. Vaccination contributes to the overall health of communities by reducing the spread of infectious disease. Also, vaccinations are important because it helps to prevent morbidity or mortality rates in a community, in a country, in a state, in a city. Vaccinations are very important because it helps to achieve herd immunity and prevent ongoing transmission from person to person. And when there is ongoing transmission from person to person, it will definitely influence or affect the mortality rate of that community. So vaccination is very important. When a person gets vaccinated against diseases, their risk of infection is also reduced. Now, why get vaccinated? It is very important for people to be vaccinated because it helps keep you healthy. You don't get to be affected when there is a disease or virus or bacteria passing around you, or if it's in your locality or in your city or in your state. Even when you have contact with people that are infected, once you are vaccinated, you have a high chance of survival. You have a high chance of not being infected with the virus or disease or whatever it is that is ongoing at the moment. Because like currently now there is a flu vaccination, so I advise everybody to be vaccinated because it will help keep you healthy. It will help you not to fall sick as a result of flu, and this is a flu season, so it is a very good time. Now is a very good time to get vaccinated. Thank you very much. No, you don't.